Hi, this is Leanne from Global Media Networks with Business Roundup for the day. We see that Sri Lanka is putting the final touches to draft bill to demutualize or make the Colombo Stock Exchange a shareholder-owned limited company, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission announced that Sri Lanka's Cabinet of Ministers had approved a draft bill to be brought as a special act of Parliament. The watchdog was assisting the Legal Draftman's Office to finalize the bill. Also, the Securities and Exchange Commission is in the process of boosting its investigations capacity this year and modernizing its supervision and regulations, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Tilak Karunaratne. We see Sri Lanka's CIC Holdings PLC, with investments from agriculture to paints, plans to invest over $14 million in the coming months to expand dairy, poultry, and healthcare business. Now, the dairy segment, which includes fresh milk production to yogurts, will see a $6.5 million investment to expand new facilities in Dambulla, according to the group's chief executive, Samantha Ranatunga. An investment of about $7.5 million will be made in the poultry sector to triple capacity within the next 2 years. Sri Lanka's short-term treasury bill yields fell as much as 15 basis points at Wednesday's auction, the 6th of June 2012. The one-year yields edged up slightly, according to the data from the State Debt Office showed. That the 3-month yield fell 15 basis points to 10.86%, and the 6-month yield fell 17 basis points to 12.12%. But the 12-month yield edged up 6 basis points to 12.66%. Then we see that Sri Lanka's motor car registrations fell 16.1% in the first quarter of 2012 to 12,496, with a steeper 23.3% fall to 4,246 in a month of March, official data showed. Now, the slowdown in car registrations came ahead of a hike in vehicle taxes by the Finance Ministry. It has been further pumped by the rise in interest rates steadily over the last quarter and depreciation of rupee against the dollar, which occurred steeply in March. Then we see Sri Lanka's second international seaport, the Hambantota Magumpura International Port, started its commercial activities when the ship Ellison Sun berthed with a consignment of 1,000 motor cars from China yesterday. Now, the vehicles carried by this car carrier will be transshipped to Algeria aboard the ship Asian Legend on the 15th of June. Meanwhile, the first ship with a cargo of 15 cars from Japan to Sri Lanka docked at the Magumpura port to unload the vehicles. Now, the Colombo port is a major international seaport which handles all imports, export, and transshipment of cargo to and from Sri Lanka. Now, the unloading of imported vehicles and transshipment activities in the future will be carried out at the Magumpura harbour to overcome congestion in the Colombo port. And we see that Ms. Rohita Abhigunawardena says, in keeping with the Mahinda Chintana, future vision of the President Mahinda Rajapaksa, vehicles brought to the Magumpura port will qualify to a tax concession, and the port will also handle all customs clearance and reshipment work. We also see that steps have been taken by the government to encourage local and foreign investors to take maximum use of the peaceful environment in the country after the end of the civil conflict, and concessions given by the government for investments have brought excellent results. Now, the Board of Investments has granted approval for 54 new projects in the first quarter of this year. Now, this is a 10% increase over the same period in last year. The Ministry of Economic Development says the projects approved estimated to be 96.3 billion rupees, of which 49 billion rupees are from foreign investments and the rest from domestic investments. Now, the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who recently met with the Thai businessman in Bangkok, has told the potential investors that the BOI is committed to support foreign investors in starting business ventures in the country, and there is a very conductive environment in Sri Lanka for investments, briefing them on the concessions and other facilities given to foreign investors by the government. Now, the BOI is structured to function as a central facilitation point for investors, has signed 40 project agreements, including 33 new enterprises, 7 project expansions in the first quarter of 2012. In the corresponding period of last year, the agency signed 32 agreements. Now, the total exports from the enterprises under the BOI during the first quarter of 2012 amounted to 193 billion rupees, that is a 7% over the corresponding period in 2011, while the total imports of the BOI company amounted to 131 billion rupees, a 22% increase compared to the previous year. And lastly, we see that business tycoon Hari Jayawardena thinks it's conducive for the government to grant state land for resort development to operators who have the capability and the experience to do so. Jayawardena makes this suggestion as he thinks that the local tourism industry currently falls well short of the required capacity to meet the government's target of bringing 2.5 million tourists by 2016. Commenting on Atkinson's 2011-2012 annual report in the capacity of the company's chairman, he says, in the absence of a focused strategy, it is probable that destination will fall short of capacity requirements and quality accommodation. Now, citing reasons, Jayawardena points out that the lack of incentives to stimulate capacity expansion continues to be a challenge for the local hospitality operators. The chairman of the Atkinson's group, which runs a chain of hospitality properties both here and overseas, also points out that the escalation in the cost of construction adds to the woes in the industry. He also believes that the tourism industry, with its current growth, will face a problem of lack of adequate human resources to cater to the sector. The lack of skilled personnel will be determined to service standards. With that, I round up the news for today. Thank you very much for listening and see you again tomorrow.